ici. So it's time for another week recap. This time starting with this third and final album by Som Imaginário on the Odeon label from 1973. This is Matança do Porco. I talked about Som Imaginário in a past video when I showed the Posições compilation that featured some cool stuff on the Brazilian psychedelia, more on the outskirts, of that whole scene. And but Som Imaginário was definitely among the more high-profile sort of bands on that category, because they, as I mentioned, they were actually formed in the early 70s to back Milton Nascimento's tour during sort of a turning point in his career, where he left behind a more like well-behaved, more tame, and more timid public image to assume more sort of a countercultural approach to his image and to his music, and Som Imaginário was really important in that sort of a shifting of gears. This translates to Slaughter of the Pig, which is a very curious and clashing title when you consider this fun cover photograph, and which was something that was really characteristic of records from this particular time in Brazil, the early 70s especially, where you have the more sort of violent times of the military dictatorship that governed the country from the mid 60s to the late 80s, and you get a lot of this kind of thing, naive imagery and metaphors that actually just are ironic manifestations of critique and despair. Really, this is a record that really it is really rooted on sort of the Brazilian accent to jazz and instrumental music. So this is like instantly recognizable as, well, this is a Brazilian instrumental music, but so there is sort of upbeat, very memorable grooves, funky moments, but there is also there is a gravitas to it, like a seriousness also that is manifested, and it's really like a symptom of the times, if you will. So this is a pretty cool, heavy record. Next one is this record by the French group Dharma in its trio iteration, with Patricio Villarroel on electric piano, Michel Gladier on bass, and Jacques Meyer on drums. Snoopy, It's Time by Dharma Trio, originally released on the SFP label and later reissued by Soufflet Continu in 2018, 2019, I guess. So this is the original from the early 70s, from 1970, actually. So it's a pretty fun record. It's really groovy. The electric piano with distortion and effects. It's definitely a curious and fun aspect to the mix. It gets free at times during the improvisation, but of course it's not the most out there stuff that is by any means. But it's a nice record. Really enjoy it. Next one is this is Simplish by Luis Wagner Lopes, a Brazilian guitarist, with this cool cover that, if you look from afar, kind of looks like almost an exile on Main Street kind of thing. So this is from 74, I guess, 74, 73, I don't remember. But this is one of those sort of quintessentially Brazilian records. Luis Wagner Lopes was a guitarist from the southmost part of Brazil, born in Bagé, in Rio Grande do Sul. But he mixes sort of rhythms from different parts of the country. This is very upbeat, very, very fun and cool record. It has a couple of beautiful ballads also, so it really hits the sweet spot in the sort of Brazilian music. Really, I don't know if this is well known in the non-Brazilian VC, but around here this is a sort of a beloved record, even though it's not like overly hyped, but it's a nice one. Another one, a different direction. This single-sided record by Joe McPhee, Zurich, 1979, was released in 2016. This is an edition of, I guess, 250, 300, I guess, on Astral Spirits. It has this very cool poster, Joe McPhee. The key of free. The truth is marching in. Sure hope it is. Yeah, this is a part of a solo set by Mr. McPhee. Starts with this really slow, melodic line, and gradually it gets more intense and starts turning it inside out, and it's a lovely, lovely record. Next, on Palilalia Records from 2013, The Raw and the Cooked by Bill Orcutt and Chris Corsano. You know, I really love their ongoing collaboration. I really wish I could see them live someday. This is among the more, I would say, the more jagged, more biting part of their side of their discography. You know, it's very different from records like Made of Sound, where Bill and Chris is playing is a little more laid back, and you get to hear more of the sort of intervallic cascades of Bill's playing. Whereas in this type of set, you get their more like the textural and the rhythmic variety of Bill's attack, and of course with the very complemental, is that a word? Part of Chris's drumming. Yeah, this is pretty cool, pretty raw like my next pick. Also featuring Bill, of course, this Harry Pussy record, Live Fuck Love Songs. Also a limited edition of 300. This was recorded in 97, and yeah, this is exactly what you would expect from a Harry Pussy live set. It's really raw, confrontational, noisy. Not exactly what I listen to all the time, but when I feel the urge to listen to this kind of thing, this really hits a sweet spot to me. And the last one, this EP by Brief Weeds, a very generous portrait. This is a pre-Rites of Spring, pre-Fugazi band with Guy Picciotto and Brendan Canty. And it's kind of a dreamy pop, psychedelic sound from, it's like a lost EP from the 60s. It's a lovely lovely little record. And I was very into Fugazi when I was a teenager, and when I came across this, I guess I was like 16 or 17, this became like an instant favorite of mine. And so whenever I listen to this really takes me back to a time of like carelessness and sort of this freedom that you only experience, of course, when you're really young. And this really makes me nostalgic, but not in a sort of a weird reactionary way, in a more like a heartwarming way. And yeah, there is some kind of naivete in this sort of in youthful freshness that just oozes from this, that really moves me. I find it beautiful. So yeah, they released two EPs. This one and oh my god, I forgot the name. It's the title. It's a William Blake book. It's Songs of Innocence and Experience, which is beautiful also. So yeah, these are my picks for the week, and see you next Saturday.